Welcome to Florida is Our Domain.
Hello and welcome back to Florida is Our Domain with Anthony Policastro. Tony is a Florida eminent domain attorney and the founder of Policastro Law Group. With over 30 years of experience in the field, he represents national corporations, business owners, and individual landowners across the state. My name is Kevin Rosenquist, and in today's episode, we're talking about how partial takings affect gas stations and convenience stores, from access changes to circulation issues and impacts on fueling operations. Tony, good to see you.
Good to see you, Kevin.
So for fuel stations in Florida, what are some impacts that might result from a partial taking for a road project?
All right. If there's a partial road taking to a gas station C-store, they can affect the driveway widths. They can eliminate driveways. They can interfere with the air vac, for instance. They can interfere with the landscape buffer, with fueling positions. They can interfere with the underground storage tanks. There's a number of things that one taking, partial taking, can have a ripple effect through. It can also affect the canopy of the gas station. So there's a lot of different issues. Gas stations are pretty intricate in the sense that any taking from a gas station, especially because they're at a corner mostly, will be really impactful, if I can use that word.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Yeah, most of the time you see gas stations on corners, so they may have both entrances affected depending on how the construction or whatever's going on with the project. So yeah, it could really, really kind of upend their business a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's gas stations that have two entry points unless they have four entry points. And sometimes, they're losing one or they're getting the width narrowed. And then therefore, there could be all sorts of problems getting vehicles on site in the after, especially if their customer base is, let's say, people with trailers for landscaping business coming into their site, people with boats. Which is obviously a major issue in Florida. So all those people or trucks or even the fueling trucks themselves have to get in. And often these takings will compress on-site circulation as well and affect parking. I wanted to add that as well. So
yeah, you're right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, a lot of times gas stations already have limited amounts of parking.
Correct.
Yeah. So when you're evaluating a gas station claim, what kind of experts or analyses help understand the full impact beyond just the land value alone?
As I've said in previous episodes, and it holds even more so true for gas stations, civil engineers. So they're the ones that really need to take a look at the plans for driveway width changes, for elimination of driveways, how trucks and vehicles circulate on site. They usually they have computer images where they could put in the CAD or the turning movements for the vehicles to see how it operated in the before and how it'll operate in the after. If you're losing a driveway, if there's a grade change to getting onto the property, if there is, as I said, elimination of a driveway narrowing, all sorts of issues that the civil engineer can help you with. Also, of course, a real estate appraiser, also a fixtures and equipment appraiser, contractor, especially if you're trying to cure or fix a problem, can be very important. And I would also say is sometimes you need a land planner, or when it's, of course, a business, an ongoing business, you're going to need an accountant as well.
Mm-hmm. So are there any things that the gas station owners will try to do physically to the property after the taking occurs to lessen these impacts, and how does that play into what they might be owed?
Okay. What we'll come up with is we'll take a look at the property, right, and how it is impacted. And the first question is, how can we cure or fix the problem? So we say cure in eminent domain. Appraisers use the word cure, cost to cure. What would it cost to fix the problem, or at least alleviate some of the problem? And most of the fixes are partial fixes, because often because of the nature of gas stations, if you fix one problem, it may lead to other problems, and then it's kind of pick your poison, right? So if you're trying to fix the access issue or you're trying to fix the on-site circulation, you may be eliminating a fueling position. You may be, changing things around, redeveloping the site some. You might lose parking because of that, especially if you've got a grade change and you've got to widen or smooth out, rather, the grade coming in because maybe the trailers or the trucks entering the property couldn't do that with, sort of just like bottoming out or hitting the ground. So you've got to alleviate that. And of course, when you do that, you go further back on the property to make a smoother grade change. So you might be eliminating parking that way. So there's a lot of things to take a look at and talk to the client and figure out, what's important to them. And sometimes it's the same person who runs the business and the real estate, but they often can be two different entities, right? So
Sure.
You've got to kind of coordinate between both and figure out what's most important to the property owner, what's most important to the business owner.
Yeah. So when those situations occurs where a project removes, relocates, or modifies a driveway, what do you do in that situation to help your client?
Well, we have in the past helped the client reestablish a driveway. So if we can demonstrate to the condemning authority that it would be cheaper and in their best interest to simply open that driveway back up, then they may do so because they may not understand the full problems. It could also be getting a median cut, right? So that, they'll put a median up. And it might be that you want to at least get a directional median to make that turn directly into the property, which would again alleviate some of the traffic flow issues that can occur when a median goes up on a property. Also, we can work with them to widen driveways with the condemning authority. So those are some of the things that, we've done in the past to, try to help with the essentially save the business on site.
This might be a loaded question, but are the condemning authorities generally helpful?
It all depends. I'm not saying that they certainly do not want to put anybody out of business. I think it's more of a lack of understanding of what is going on with the business and a lack of understanding of what it takes to successfully run a gas station, in this case, or any business. They're not in the business, right? So they often either don't fully understand what's going on site, or their experts aren't doing a thorough enough job to educate them on what they need to do. So it's certainly, my job representing gas stations is to educate the DOT and show them and demonstrate why that driveway needs to be reopened, why it needs to be widened. And, when they do that, it will actually save them dollars on the end because the claim will go down, whether it's the claim to the real estate, which again would be a severance damage claim, or it would be a claim to doing a cure, or it could also be reducing business damages by simply, modifying these access points, because access points obviously is everything to a gas station as it is to a fast food restaurant. Anybody that just kind of is driving by and it's more of an impulse rather than a destination.
Yeah.
Those
Sure.
sorts of businesses definitely need as much access as possible.
Yeah, unless there's some ridiculous price, you're generally not just going to a particular gas station. You generally, like, the first one you see is the one you go to. And if it's not easily accessible, you're going to move on.
Especially if you don't know the area and
Yeah.
you're coming off, say, a major highway. So, in Florida, if you're coming off of I-75, I-4, I-95, you may not know the area. You're just kind of looking for the first gas station. And if they don't have very good access or it looks difficult, you may just drive by that, right, and go to the next one that looks a little bit more accessible, easier to get in and out.
100%. I definitely do that, especially on road trips. Yeah, you got a few different gas stations. You're like, ooh, they got a lot going on over there. Let's go to this one. It just kind of natural, I think. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. Do you have an example? I'm sure you have plenty of examples of a gas station or C-store matter that illustrates how a small strip of land taken for a road expansion can create a much larger operational problem.
Well, I will say that I did a case a number of years back in Pinellas County here in Palm Harbor. And what the condemning authority was doing was they were putting in a roundabout. And on the surface, it would look like not much of a taking. They were literally only taking 241 square feet. That was it. However, when they were doing that, because the roundabout was intruding somewhat into the one of the access points, this was a gas station. C-store also was a mom and pop sort of business where they also had auto repair on site as well, and they also did trailer rentals as well. And they had 4 openings, 2 on the main road, 2 on a side road. And what they were doing was they were relocating one of the driveways, and they were also narrowing another driveway off the main entrance. And they were also changing the grade for vehicles to enter. The problem with that is when they moved the one driveway, they were misaligning it with getting into the fueling pumps. So before it was like a direct shot in, if you know what I mean. And after, if somebody was coming in, it was a much more difficult kind of on-site circulation issue. And also, we suggested, and what happened was they literally had to eliminate one of their fueling pumps because where this property was located or is located is very close to the water. So there was a lot of people with big boats coming in, filling up to go fishing. So they had a pretty big business, and especially on weekends as well. So there was a lot of effect to that 241 square foot taking. And I can tell you, we got them 5 times more than the initial offer from the DOT. So, there could be huge jump ups related to even just small takings, because once again, they didn't understand, the government side didn't understand how this business was functioning. And they just thought, well, we're giving them another driveway back. We're just relocating the driveway, but they still have that driveway, but that driveway wasn't in position to benefit the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, hey, losing one pump is no, that's not a small thing.
No. That's a major thing
Yep.
as well. And that flow damages off of that, business damages and real estate damages as well. But by doing some of the things we did, and that cure to be proposed really just helped the business overall. So, but sometimes it can't be helped that you have to eliminate something to cure or fix the problem. In this case, it was eliminating one of the fuel dispensers, essentially to get a better grade going into the property. So, yeah, but they had just made it very tight because it was an older station, right? So it was tight even in the before. But when you move a driveway and then you narrow another driveway and you change the grade, you've really kind of messed up the site.
Yeah, I could picture what you're saying, and that definitely would cause issues. Are the considerations for the real estate owner and business owner generally the same, or do they often differ?
They differ. I mean, the real estate, if they are not the same person,
Sure.
often they are the same person. But if they're not the same person, the real estate owner, of course, wants to make sure he can keep his tenant, wants to make sure the taking doesn't change the highest and best use, meaning that it's no longer a gas station because of the taking, it's something else. So therefore, they're looking at, what's going on to preserve their tenant and preserve their income. The business owner, of course, is looking at it as, hey, what's going on? Am I going to lose my business, or is this going to substantially reduce my profits by, losing parking, losing on-site circulation, maybe losing a fueling pump? So there's a lot of things that they're looking at. So they have, sometimes they have different thoughts, but really it's kind of, it coalesces around the thing. Can this business remain on site? And, how can we, try to either fix the problem in various ways, or obviously it's going to be getting them paid business damages for the tenant and severance damages for the real estate owner.
So when it comes to the business damage claim, are business owners automatically eligible, or do they have to prove some sort of hardship?
Kevin, what happens is that they have to, first of all, meet the 5-year requirements. So they've got to be have an ongoing gas station or business on site for 5 consecutive years. They can tack on. So if they bought the business from another gas station owner and there's been no interruption to the business, then they simply can, meet the business eligibility requirements if it's 5 years. Then the second important thing is a written lease. So without a written lease, you're really just an at-will tenant, so to speak. So you'd only be entitled to about 30 days worth of business damages. So the longer your lease, the better, because the lease essentially frames the business damages that you can claim. And that includes options. So if somebody has, 5 years left on their lease, but they have another 5-year option or 2 5-year options, that will count to take it out to 10 or 15 years for the way of assessing damages to the business. So
Okay. So what initial information do you normally look to obtain from a gas station or C-store when they retain you?
we look to, for the business, we certainly look to, are there branding agreements in place? Branding agreements mean that they've got an agreement to put up everything for instance, BP or for Shell, all of their branding, right, on their signs, all the logos, everything up. Now, I've had cases where if they're losing, if the take is going to cause them to lose too much in gallonage, they may go below that branding agreement, and therefore they're going to go dark, meaning that the company with the branding agreement, they'll be in violation and they'll lose all their branding. So that's a really big thing, because if you lose all your branding and no one else is going to pick you up, no other, national brand, then it's going to be very difficult, right, to try to sell gas if you're not, with BP, Shell, Exxon, whatever, Wawa, Racetrack. So those are things that's very important. And then the second thing is dealer supply agreements. And that is important. Again, that's that you're going to be using, again, so much gallonage per month. And if you fall below that there's penalties for that as well, just like with the branding agreements. So those have to really be looked at. You're looking at if there's any management leases on site, besides just a regular lease. Sometimes there's a management lease with the owner as well, where the owner is actually the dealer for the gas. So that's another consideration. And also on the real estate owner side, they're certainly going to be looking at, the leases is important to get, the survey for the property. Another thing with the business, of course, is you want to get 5 years worth of financial documents. So that is another element. So there's a lot to consider and a lot to think about when dealing with gas stations and gas station business owners.
Yeah, we've all seen construction around these businesses, and we've all seen it a million times, but it's obviously very nuanced when it comes to these kind of situations. All right, well, thanks for listening to today's episode of Florida is Our Domain. If your property or business is being affected by a public project, visit policastrolaw.com to schedule a consultation and learn how Tony and his team can help you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Leave us a review. We always very much appreciate that as well. Tony, great chatting with you as always. Thanks so much.
All right. And good seeing you, Kevin. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.